Do you know what kind of men Japanese women like? If you want to find out your chances, this episode is definitely for you. Ladies, it will be interesting for you too. Today, we will talk not only about the preferences of Japanese beauties, but also about their lifestyles. And trust me, you wouldn't envy the lives of these lovely ladies. Recently, one blogger decided to conduct a survey on the streets of Tokyo. For the interview, he chose young women and asked them two questions: what part of a man's body they pay attention to first, and which part they find the most attractive. 300 women participated in the survey, and most of them said that they first look at the face. Eyes and nose are what attract them. So guys, if you have bright eyes and a striking nose, victory is on your side. The others said they pay attention to height and prefer taller men. Now let's talk a little about the life of Japanese beauties before we return to their preferences. It is full of contradictions and unexpected details. Soon, you will learn why Japanese schoolgirls became victims of public humiliation. Many people know that Japan has a problem with overcrowded transport. Unfortunately, women are not immune to rude behavior from men, especially during rush hours in the subway. There are so many complaints that this phenomenon has its own name: chicken. To ensure the safety of citizens, the government created special carriages exclusively for women, and subway staff closely monitor that men don't enter these carriages. By the way, the fine for violating this rule is quite significant. This trend quickly spread in Japan, and establishments catering only to women started appearing. As for family traditions, legal wives in Japan dedicate themselves to their families, leave their jobs, and take care of household chores, often not by choice. The Japanese are workaholics, and women burdened with domestic responsibilities can't fully immerse themselves in their careers. However, Japan does not stand still and continues to come up with new services. For example, there is the Enjo Kasai service, a job for young women who, for a decent fee, spend time with clients. But it's not as simple as it may seem. Couples just go for walks, watch movies, have dinner, and go on dates. Workaholics often use this service to avoid feeling lonely. It's sad for the guys, but that's the reality of modern society. Despite this, marriages in Japan are strong, and the divorce rate is minimal. However, even here, unions break down, and there is a significant difference when it comes to who stays with the child. If the mother remains with the child and her husband dies due to an accident or illness, she will receive good support from the government. However, if a divorce occurs without a valid reason, or if a woman decides to have a child outside of marriage, she cannot expect government aid. Moreover, if a young mother buys expensive electronics, she immediately loses her benefits, leaving the status of someone in need. So what kind of men do Japanese women prefer? Let's start with the fact that they always choose strong and wise men. It seems like a simple truth, but the behavior of women in Japan is quite different from what we see in Russia, for example. Here, women never raise their voices and never try to appear smarter than men. They do not take the initiative and never invite a man on a date, even if they want to. In relationships, Japanese women are reserved and compliant, don't set strict demands, and always do household chores. They do not discuss their partners with friends, which doesn't mean they will tolerate any kind of behavior. Attention and love are important to everyone. If a man is too focused on himself and his problems, the woman will likely leave the relationship soon. In Japan, family is taken very seriously. If a man does not introduce his girlfriend to his parents for a long time, she will break up with him. The word parents here is considered law. If the future son-in-law doesn't please the mother, consider the relationship over. In Japan, the opinion of older relatives is highly valued, and people try to listen to it. Let's imagine you came to Japan in search of love. What will help you succeed? Height, good education, and a decent salary are already half the battle. But it's important to note that in Japan, a tall man is considered to be around 170, 175 centimeters, and anything over 180 centimeters might be considered too much. If you check all the boxes in these categories, success is likely. But even then, be prepared to talk about certain topics on your first date to make a good impression. Tell us about your education and future plans. The key factors that stand out in Japan are hard work and a passion for knowledge. People will often ask about your salary, but it's not customary to talk about that. However, if you have something to brag about, feel free to do so. When it comes to physical appearance, it's difficult to judge. The saying, "to each their own," really applies here. Some prefer the typical Japanese look, while others find beauty in European features. One thing is certain: Japanese women love fit and slim men, and bodybuilders have fewer chances. Remember those cartoons, especially anime? Even the harmless ones often exaggerate the image of Japanese women. Short skirts and occasional glimpses of underwear are common, but this doesn't align with the reality of modern Japanese women who live under strict behavioral rules. By the way, do you know where the demand for used women's underwear vending machines came from? We'll explain in a moment. In Japan, women are often very reserved. For many, it might seem strange, but a Japanese girl wouldn't chew in front of others, and in a cafe, she might sit hungry rather than enjoy a big hamburger. It's simply considered impolite to show your teeth in public. In some places, special napkins are available to cover a woman's face during meals, featuring cute female faces. Sales of fast food spiked when these napkins were introduced. As for appearance, tourists may have questions about the dress code in Japan. It's rare to see a woman in revealing tops on the streets of Japanese cities, as they will often wear something over their t-shirts, but there are no strict rules about skirt length. Exposed legs don't seem to be a big deal and aren't considered an attractive part of the body. However, for European men, it's hard not to be captivated by the sight of slim legs in incredibly short skirts. But how did animated characters like Sailor Moon come about? This dates back to the 20th century, when girls' school uniforms were based on the British Royal Navy design. That's where the short skirts and blue outfits came from, and the boys' uniforms were also inspired by the same concept. Additionally, Japan developed its own sports uniforms, and it's hard to understand why standard, loose-fitting shorts became seen as uncomfortable. At some point, all schoolgirls were dressed in ultra-short shorts. If you look at old photos, you'll notice that the only difference between them and underwear was the fabric structure. This type of uniform was designed to allow maximum movement and comfort, but school officials didn't think about the attention it would attract from others. As mentioned above, the open upper part of the uniform became quite normal. Women's teams performing at the Olympics only further solidified the trend. Complaints were ignored, and the schools didn't think the issue was significant. But then, a group of schoolgirls held a protest about this issue, which gained massive attention. Complaints flooded in and schools began to change their dress codes. Now girls are dressed more comfortably for sports, but the trend quickly made its way to the small screen, where animated characters appeared in short shorts, becoming increasingly revealing. This eventually gave rise to the adult entertainment industry. Around this time, stores selling used school uniforms started appearing on the streets, and you could find shorts and even underwear for sale. The first seller was likely shocked when a customer asked for used items. Over time, these requests became more frequent, and as demand grew, the stores began offering items worn by women. This is how a new fashion trend emerged, with shop owners trying to keep these sales discreet, fearing police attention. Eventually, some stores started offering used goods, and some tourists were shocked by this. It's all related to a fetishistic psychology, where personal and public matters often intertwine. In Japan, where taboos are plentiful and people's lives are under close supervision, this behavior isn't too surprising. Vending machines for these products did appear, though the underwear sold is often treated and scented artificially, according to the manufacturers. The trend may have faded, and serious fines could follow, but tourists are still often sold fake items. This glimpse into the lives of Japanese women shows that they believe in princes and want to find a loving man. Guys, keep in mind that Japanese workaholics are reserved when it comes to showing affection, and they rarely express love, as it's considered a sign of weakness. This is one of the reasons why Japanese beauties are increasingly attracted to Europeans. It's understandable. Everyone wants to love and be loved. Subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up, because the most unusual and shocking episodes are ahead.